My name is Arnold, and I've always been a night owl. There's something about the quiet darkness that soothes my restless soul. But there was one night drive, a sinister night drive, that I'll never forget. The clock on the dashboard blinked 2:37 a.m. as I turned onto that winding, deserted road. It was a route I'd taken countless times, but this night felt different. The moon was hidden behind heavy clouds, casting an inky blackness over everything. The only source of light was my car's dim headlights, cutting through the thick darkness like a knife. I had the radio on, trying to drown out the sinister silence that enveloped me, but the static-filled voices only added to my unease. My eyes darted from side to side, searching for any signs of life. Yet all I could see were trees that seemed to lean closer, their branches reaching out like skeletal fingers. The road stretched endlessly ahead, disappearing into a void of uncertainty. The occasional rustling of leaves in the wind sent a thrill, and my heart quickened its pace. I told myself it was just my imagination playing tricks on me. Then, up ahead, I saw flashing lights, blue and red, piercing the darkness. My heart leaped with a mix of relief and anxiety. It was a police checkpoint. I slowed down, my headlights illuminating a police car parked across the road. An officer stood next to it, waving me to a stop. I pulled over to the side of the road and rolled down my window, feeling a sense of trepidation. The officer approached, shining a flashlight into my car, blinding me temporarily. "Good evening, sir," he said, his voice calm and authoritative. "We're conducting a routine checkpoint. I'll need to see your driver's license and registration, please." I dug around for my wallet and handed over the required documents. The officer examined them with a critical eye before handing them back. "Everything seems to be in order," he said, but then his tone shifted. "However, we've had reports of a suspicious vehicle matching your description in the area. I'll need you to step out of the vehicle for a quick inspection." My heart sank and a cold sweat formed on my brow. It didn't make sense. My car was just an ordinary sedan. I hesitated for a moment, glancing around at the desolate, dark surroundings. But I couldn't refuse a police officer's request. I got out of the car, and the officer motioned for me to stand by the Polsey car. He was joined by another officer, and they both began to question me, asking about my destination and the purpose of my late-night drive. Their questions seemed innocuous enough, but something about the situation didn't sit right with me. As they continued to question me, I noticed something unsettling. The police uniforms seemed different, not quite right. The badges appeared off-kilter, and there were no identifying marks on the police car. My instincts screamed at me that something was wrong. I took a step back, my heart pounding in my chest. "Wait a minute," I stammered. "I just realized this doesn't seem like a real checkpoint." The two officers exchanged a glance, and that's when it hit me like a bolt of lightning. These weren't real police officers. The one on the left reached for something inside his jacket, and I didn't stick around to find out what it was. I turned and sprinted back to my car, my pulse racing as adrenaline coursed through my veins. After leaving the place, the police car followed me until I found a real police car a little ahead. I forcefully closed the door, securing it with a lock, and then floored the gas pedal with all my strength. The imposter police officer shouted and hammered on my car, but I refused to glance back. I accelerated away from that fraudulent checkpoint and only halted when I saw an authentic police car further down the road. I recounted the entire incident to them, and they assured me they would launch an investigation and keep me informed as they gathered information. Unfortunately, they never followed up with me. Driving at night had always been a solitary pleasure for me. The empty, moonlit roads provided a sense of tranquility and escape from the demands of daily life. But one night, that peaceful solitude turned into a terrifying ordeal. I was cruising along a desolate stretch of highway, completely alone. The stars twinkled above, casting a faint glow on the road ahead. The only sound was the hum of my engine, until I noticed a pair of headlights in my rearview mirror. Initially, I assumed it was just another late-night traveler. However, as the headlights grew closer, an unsettling feeling washed over me. The vehicle behind me was an old, beaten-up sedan, its headlights flickering erratically. It was tailgating me so closely that I could barely make out its grille in my rearview mirror. I tried to dismiss my unease, convincing myself it was simply an impatient driver, but the relentless tailgating persisted, intensifying my anxiety. Every time I stole a glance in the mirror, the sedan seemed to inch closer, almost as if it wanted to force me off the road. In an attempt to shake off my pursuer, I decided to slow down, hoping the aggressive driver would overtake me and continue on their way. To my dismay, the sedan matched my speed, remaining right on my tail. Its headlights cast eerie shadows on the road ahead, adding to my growing sense of dread. My heart raced, realizing I needed to escape from this relentless tormentor. I accelerated, maneuvering through the winding road, desperately trying to lose them. But no matter how fast I drove or how many turns I made, the sedan stayed hot on my trail. Fear and uncertainty consumed my mind. Who was this individual, and why were they subjecting me to this torment on this desolate road in the dead of night? Panic surged within me as I pondered my options. Driven by desperation, I made a split-second decision to veer onto a narrow gravel road that led into the dense woods. It was a desperate gamble, a last-ditch effort to lose my pursuer. To my horror, the sedan followed without hesitation. As I raced down the gravel path, a dreadful realization washed over me. The path ahead was blocked by a massive tree trunk and debris. Panic took hold as I slammed on the brakes, my car skidding to an abrupt halt just short of the blockade. The sedan pulled up behind me, its headlights illuminating the path ahead. I was trapped with no means of escape. My heart pounded in my chest as I frantically surveyed the surroundings, desperately searching for any way to evade this relentless pursuit. Suddenly, I spotted a small, abandoned cabin up ahead. Swerving off the gravel road, I screeched to a stop in front of it, praying for some form of refuge. I hastily exited my car and rushed inside, slamming the door shut behind me. Within the cabin, I encountered a sinister-looking man, his appearance disheveled and his eyes wild. A shiver ran down my spine as he grinned at me, exposing yellowed, decaying teeth. In a chilling whisper, he declared, "I've been waiting for you." My heart raced, and I instinctively took a step back, my hands trembling uncontrollably. It became evident that I had unknowingly walked into a trap. The man's intentions were far from clear, and panic engulfed me. Desperate to escape, I frantically scanned the cabin for a possible exit. However, the man's laughter filled the confined space, leaving me with the grim realization that I was cornered. There was no way to flee without confronting him. As I braced myself for the worst, a sudden noise outside the cabin caught the man's attention. He turned toward the window, his grin fading. Seizing the opportunity, I bolted for the door, bursting out into the dark woods. Behind me, I could hear the man's footsteps as he gave chase, his sinister laughter echoing through the trees. I ran with every ounce of strength, fervently praying that I could outrun this nightmare. Hours later, I stumbled out of the woods and onto the main road, gasping for breath, but alive.